Born and raised in Iran. I lived there 10 years. 6 weeks after Khomeini died, we escaped, went to Germany, lived at a refugee camp for 2 years, and then came out to the States, went to the Army, got out of the Army, met a friend, got into the financial industry, worked at Morgan Stanley Dean Witter a day before 9/11. My wife and I got married. We talked about all of this stuff before we got married. I enjoy my own company. I was a private guy. I wasn't somebody that wanted to come out and create content. But when I started looking at what direction the market was going in, everybody has two brands today. One brand is the company they're building. The other brand is themselves. What scares me is when I am out of whack with my values and principles. If these are my values and principles that I've dedicated my life to, and I live here, I'm concerned. I come from a family of warriors, not warriors, like a lot of, my mother was a war. I talked to her yesterday, I said, you worry way too much.
We normally tell people that whenever you go for a conference, elevator pitch, somebody on the phone, a video on Instagram, instantly tell your story so that people connect. When I meet somebody, I say, hi, my name is Avi Arya, father of 2 girls, 6 dogs, husband to a superwoman, a streetcar racer turned hotelier, now social media marketer, and founder of Internet Moguls. That's how we start our story. So if Patrick, when you, I know there are almost no conferences where you go where you're not known, but if you want to start again and you wanted to introduce yourself today to the world, what would be your hero introduction?
If I were to start all over again.
Yes, and you wanted to get your foot into the door, introduce yourself to somebody, what would be your story? How would you, introduce yourself?
So how old am I? Am I the Patrick of today or the Patrick of 21 years old?
Today.
Oh, the Patrick of today. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a father of 3. I couldn't tell you this. If I wanted to be introduced, how would I want to be introduced? I typically get introduced as the entrepreneur, running Valuetainment.
Right.
CEO, founder of, 13, 14,000 agents nationwide. I couldn't tell you right now on how I'd want to be introduced. I don't think about that a lot.
Oh, no problem. Can you tell us about your backstory, a little bit about yourself, how Patrick?
Absolutely. Yeah. Born and raised in Iran. I lived there 10 years. 6 weeks after Khomeini died, we escaped, went to Germany, lived at a refugee camp for 2 years, and then came out to the States, went to the Army. Got out of the Army, met a friend, got into the financial industry, worked at Morgan Stanley Dean Witter a day before 9/11. And then I wanted to be a bodybuilder, and bodybuilding was a dream of mine. And one day I realized it's not what I want to be doing. I'm too tall for it. I'm 6'5", and bodybuilding you have to be like 5'10". And when I got into the financial industry, I left Morgan Stanley Dean Witter and went to Transamerica. 7.5 years later, started my own insurance company with 66 agents, and we grew to 14,000 agents in 49 states. We have 120 plus offices, and I run a YouTube channel with 2 million subscribers.
Wow, that's well done. Awesome. So, when a journey today, things have changed since you started, and, you're working with 6,600 plus agents, training them, mentoring them, having other people coming into your network and all of that. Today's day and age, when everybody feels that social media can change people's lives, how do you respond to that?
It can. I think it can take think about the way we're connected right now.
Right.
How did you and I get connected? We didn't go to high school together. We're not relatives. We're not neighbors. We don't live in the same place. If it wasn't for social media, I wouldn't hear this story of yours for us to talk. So I think what social media has done is it's become the great equalizer. It's allowed any 7-year-old kid that can go out there and unbox toys to be making $23 million a year on YouTube, to a person that becomes a president, Obama or Trump, using social media. The power, it's so wide. It can go from the 7-year-old kid to the 14-year-old entrepreneur, to a 25-year-old coming out of college and not at the top of their class, to the politician, to the investor, to the businessman, to the military. In every possible way, social media has changed the game. but it's brought. There used to be a time you and I, when we watched an actor on TV, we were enamored by actors. We were enamored by people that were on TV. If you think about it, you're no longer as impressed as you once were.
Sure.
They're just human beings, because it's gone like this. The person that's the regular person that now runs a YouTube channel from their house, showing how to do makeup, she's got 11 million subscribers. She's here. And the Hollywood celebrity that does movies, they're here.
Right.
It's not like this. It's here. So it's a beautiful thing that's happening.
Perfect. Your question?
Yeah, so my question is, how do you balance family time and quality time with your family, but also like working really hard? So how do you balance that out?
That's a great question. When my wife and I got married, we talked about all of this stuff before we got married. So I was not planning on getting married. I wanted to stay single for the rest of my life because I enjoy my own company. So I like people a lot, but I also am comfortable with my own company. And one day I thought about it. I'm the only son that can continue my last name of David. And that's very important to me because my dad is my hero. So I want to make sure that last name gets continued.
Sure.
And then I said, okay, maybe I'm going to get married. So a friend of mine gave me a book called 101 Questions to Ask Before You Get Engaged. I read it. When I read it, I got clear on who I wanted to marry. So then I started dating a few people, knowing what I'm looking for. And then I met my wife and we started dating. And I told her on our second date, I gave her the book. I said, this is a book I read. Here's what I want you to read, because pre us getting married, I want you to know that maybe we're on the same page or not. And I did this book with 4 other women, having a conversation with them. After she read the book, a week later, we're together. And one of the things we talked about was the life I want to build. I wasn't planning on building a life of being somebody that's 9 to 5. It's just not me. I'm not that guy. My dad wasn't that person. And I would be lying to myself if I was going to be the person that's going to be home every night at 5 o'clock. It's not going to happen with somebody like me. So I was clear on my vision and the path I was going to take. And I didn't feel guilty about it. A lot of times people will make you feel guilty about the fact that, if you're around or if you're not. If the two belief systems are parallel, you don't feel uncomfortable. Now, let me give you the flip side of it. Is last night, I'm putting my kid down, my son. I walk the dogs, I come back in, he sneaks out of his bed and he comes downstairs and wants to spend some time with me. I said, what are you doing, buddy? He says, Dad, I just want to talk to you a little bit. I said, yeah, what's up? So we start talking. He's 8 years old. And he says, so what'd you do today? He says, here's what I did. Mm-hmm. He says, what do I need to do? Because last time I was at your office for 2 days in a row and we were together from day and night. It was the best day of my life. Huh. Can we do that again? What do we need to do it 3 days in a row? I said, what do you want to do? He says, what if I finish more books? And what if I do this? What if I do this? Can we do 3 days in a row? I say, yeah, no problem, buddy. Here's what we can do. Okay. And then what if I do this much? Can I choose the vacation where we go on? Absolutely. Because in my house, everything is based on reading. The more you read and learn, that's our currency. So it's not money in our house. Its currency is books. The more you read, the more you can get. The less you read, the less you can get. So you don't have a voice. So the balancing act for us is Sundays is our family time. We take a family vacation probably 4 times a year, not once a year. We do 4 a year. Next week, I'm taking a family out and we're going to go to Universal Studios, all these other places. Then I'm taking them to Bora Bora. We'll be together for 7 days at Bora Bora, and I'm renting out a massive bungalow. But I take them everywhere when we're traveling. And the office is set up in a way for them to want to come here. I have slides here. I have video games here. I have a gym here. I have a ping pong table here. I have arcade. I have shuffleboards. I have chess boards. I have so many different things here that if they just want to come here and be here all day, they have a blast being here all day. So my strategy was to create the work environment in a way where they want to be here, then put everything in schedule with my family where we have the time together. But also long term, I always visualized, how old are you, by the way?
How old are you?
Oh, me? I'm 10.
You're 10? Okay. So how old is your sister?
She's 14.
14, okay. Do you guys do slumber parties? Like, do you let your girl go and stay with other people or no?
No, not yet.
No. Okay, guess what? I like that because that's why I asked first before saying it. Let me tell you what my goal was. I have a daughter, and she's beautiful like you as well. And daddies are very protective of their daughter. Your dad will do anything for you. You got to know that your dad will do anything for you, more than you think what he will do for you. He will do whatever he can in his power to protect you. And so for me, long term, it was also thinking about it, saying, you know, when my kids one day have friends and they want to do a slumber party, I want it to be in my house.
Right.
I don't want it to be elsewhere.
That's what my wife says, yeah.
Yeah. So I wanted to create such a nice place in our home that if they want to come here, come here. And then also long term, when my kids have grandkids, I want the grandkids to want to come see grandpa, because grandpa has the best park. Grandma has the best toys. So everything to me is about keeping my family as close to me as possible while building independence, because that's what my dad did to me. He loved me, he cared for me, but he built independence. So that's how I would process that question that you just asked.
Lovely. Because I also tell Aviana, I said when I'm 124 and you're 84, you know, we'll still keep working on a venture. Hopefully this venture takes off and it does well, and you don't have to leave, and we can always be together and keep working on the business, even if we are in different parts of the world. Right, Aviana?
Mm-hmm.
All right. You have another question?
Yeah, so my other question is, we use the term internet moguls a lot. So our definition of an internet mogul is someone who spends time with their family, quality time with their family, but also can like build a brand or can hustle hard. So what would your definition of an internet mogul be?
To me, it's you know, it's I like how you said that, because it's my language. You said our definition of internet mogul is this. That's what matters the most, is what the definition is to you. Because it's like, what does happiness mean? It's got millions of different meanings to people. It shouldn't have the same meaning for everybody, and that's okay. You know, what does freedom mean to everybody? It's got many different meanings to people, right? What does fulfillment mean to a lot of people? It has different meanings to everybody. For me, an internet mogul is somebody that is building a massive empire and creating a ton of jobs and finding ways to do things that others weren't thinking about doing. So I would consider an internet mogul, to me, it wouldn't be the names that you're thinking about. To me, it would be the Bezos, the Zuckerbergs. To me, it would be the Musks. It would be the Peter Thiels. It would be the, you know, it would be those Jack Dorsey. Those are the guys that are internet moguls to me. If you're referencing internet digital marketers, that's a completely different story. Internet digital marketers most of them are driven by the concept of Tim Ferriss's 4-hour work week. They're driven by that concept. And that concept is to be able to be anywhere in the world, make money with your laptop, computer, not need inventory, not have a big staff and employees and team and all this other stuff to do. And you're kind of yourself, and everybody else is on 1099 contract, and you're kind of being free of all of that. People like that. I can't see myself doing that, because I love the day-to-day of running a business.
Right.
I love it. So for everybody, it has a different meaning. For me, internet mogul would be a guy that's building and disrupting an industry, creating an economy and jobs for people, and finding a way to do it that other people haven't thought of doing.
Lovely. Okay, you know what? This one thing I've always wanted to ask you from the first time that I came across your YouTube channel about 2 years ago. Do you still work out? Because you definitely look like a bodybuilder who's working out today. Like, you look like a current bodybuilder. You said you gave up bodybuilding, and I just heard that from you for the first time. But you work out like every day, and you still look at yourself in the mirror and say, because I always wanted to be a boxer. Unfortunately, I got a first coach who only did one thing. The first week I went into the gym, he just beat me up every day and made sure my nose was bleeding. And you can go to the second time for a while. And so that just sort of, I was 13, 14 years old. I just wanted, he almost kicked me out of the gym. So I never got into boxing. But every time I look at somebody like you who looks like a boxer today, like somebody who can get into the ring with Sylvester Stallone, I want to have a conversation anyway. My wife is like, you have conversations with random men. I said, it's not random. Once I have a conversation with them about, how much they're lifting and how they feel after a workout. So is workout something that drives you every single day?
I work out I was at the gym this morning. So it's a part of my life. I worked out last night. I've been working out a minimum of 3 times a week since I was 14 years old. But when I wanted to be a bodybuilder, it was 6 days a week. It was 2 hours a day. So it was It was all obsession, diet, nutrition, supplement, everything. Not today. Today, it's not at that level. Don't get me wrong. I take my vitamins, and I have my vitamins that I take that's set up here, and I take my protein drinks, and I do my best to get the right amount of protein. But I was obsessed when I was wanting to compete. I was obsessed to be Mr. Olympia, and I wasn't going to live life without doing it until I realized how much stuff I needed to put in my body, and I said, I'm not going to be doing that.
Right.
That became my, I went to one Mr. Olympia, and I went there in 2001. And when I went to it, I walked in and I wanted to find out about what the life was like. That was really my thought. So I walked in and I saw the life, and I looked around and I talked to some of the guys that were competing, and they told me what needed to be done. And I just said, I'm not going to be doing that. And literally at that moment, I made a decision, I'm out. So it was more a lifestyle thing than I'm going to go out there and compete with the rest of these guys.
Awesome. So Patrick, in today's day and age, building a business, you said you like the hustle of every day, talking to people, having people in the office, providing for their livelihoods and all of that. At the same time, today's businesses allow you to have your affiliate programs. You said people can sell other people's affiliate programs. People build an email list and just continue to live a lifestyle or based on an email list of 30,000 people who are their loyal fans. They nurture them, everything, and then they're enjoying the world from all over the world. So what do you say about people who are listening to this? What would your suggestion be? Because a lot of people who come to our school and our channel will be people of all ages, these girls, my age and all of that. People are thinking, what should I do? Should I build a digital marketing agency? Should I use digital for my business? Or should I lead that internet lifestyle? Which one would you say is a career choice for people who are just getting in and saying, let me just become an affiliate, 5,000 people on my list, nurture the list and just have fun?
So one thing I will say is I believe 100% of people should have a social media strategy, whatever it's going to be. It doesn't matter what it is. So I don't downplay what folks on your side of the business do, nor on my side, and I don't try to convert them, if that makes sense. I'm not in the.
Sure.
It's not about baptizing somebody. Say, no, you got to think this way, or you got to think this is the right way. Not at all. I think everybody has to have a social media game plan. I was a private guy. I wasn't somebody that wanted to come out and create content. But when I started looking at what direction the market was going in, everybody has two brands today. One brand is the company they're building. The other brand is themselves. Most people only look at business as this. That's a mistake. For many years, we just looked at it like this. Like if you go back 40 years ago, you may know the company, but you don't know who the CEO was. You don't know who the founder was. You were like, I don't know who founded IBM. I don't know who founded, I don't know. Unless if the company's name was the name, like Ford or, but you didn't know. You knew this though, right? Today, we like Tesla because we know Elon Musk. Today, we like Amazon because we think Jeff Bezos is interesting. Today.
So valuetainment because we know Patrick.
That's exactly it. So you are now looking at it on who is this guy? Who's Patrick Bet-David? Oh, wow, this is cool. I like the content. So for me, when I went this direction, I went the direction because people started saying, well, this is Patrick. Well, that's Patrick. Well, this is this and this is business. And I said, you know what? Here's a way for the world to know who I am. You can spend an hour with me on the internet and an hour later saying, I kind of know this guy. I like him. I don't like him. But you be the judge of that. And now you know me based on you and I spending some time together. It's not based on what a competitor said about you or myself. The other way I thought about creating content was, and this part to me is very, very important, maybe even at the top of the list, is I never met my grandpa, my dad's dad. I always heard stories about him, but I never met him. I never spent a lot of time with my mom's father, which is my grandpa. I spent some time with him, but I don't know his philosophies. My great-grandkids will forever be able to spend hundreds of hours with me.
Nice.
Find out who their grandpa is. They're going to say, oh, that's my great-grandpa. Let me tell you, great-grandpa one time said this, and that to me is a method of having a legacy continue on. So one is monetary, business-wise. One is strategy. One is long-term on what my next play is, because I'm about to launch a book titled Your Next 5 Moves with Simon & Schuster that's going to be coming out June 30th.
Your Next 5 Moves.
Your Next 5 Moves is the title of the book. everything is about knowing your next 5 moves, and grandmasters know their next 15 moves. So a lot of the moves I'm making isn't for today, it's more for 2025, it's more for 2030. And sometimes as a strategist, you got to be thinking that way.
Awesome. We've got we asked your team, we've got 7 more minutes with you, but we don't mean any disrespect. She has to rush for school. Is that okay if she leaves right now?
Absolutely.
Thank
Good
you.
talking to you. I'm excited for you.
Thank you.
Take care.
All right. I just woke them up early in the morning. We're in Vancouver, so Pacific time. We just wanted to be here to make sure that.
Awesome.
Great. So I like what you said. You said social media, you have to be your own brand. You spoke about bodybuilding. You said why you got into it, and how much you continued with it. I mean, you definitely look like a bodybuilder. Hats off to you. I wish I could look like that right now. But you also spoke about 2025 and 2030. Tell me, can I ask you, as a human being, what scares Patrick David? Because when I look at you, when I look at your videos, and I'm one of your binge watchers, because you stand tall and strong, and you feel, it just looks, you have things in control, and you like, let's bring stuff on. But is there something that scares you? Like, what scares me is sometimes, like you said, looking at 2035 or somehow I'm able to look 10 years down the line. I'm not able to look 20 years down the line. I don't know why. But is there something that scares you?
Yeah, I mean, I would tell you what scares me is when I'm living out of my values. I don't know if that makes sense. When, like, what doesn't scare me is what you do to me, or what the president could do to me, or what somebody else playing games could do to me, because I can't control that part, right? What scares me is when I am out of whack with my values and principles. If these are my values and principles that I've dedicated my life to, and I live here, I'm concerned, because I'm not aligned. And the more aligned I am, the less things I worry about and I fear. The more offline I am, I love that. So the best way for me to put it to you is, I come from a family of warriors, not warriors. Like a lot of, my mother was a war. I talked to her yesterday. I said, you worry way too much, right? If I don't put a video one day, she thinks I'm in the hospital. I'm like, why would I be in the hospital? I'm running a business. She's like, no, you didn't put a video for 2 days. What's going on? I said, Mom, you got to realize I'm good. So I come from that Middle Eastern, Indians are similar as well. I come from that, culture of, I was in Bombay 2 years ago, year and a half ago. I went and spoke at IIT, and I was in Mumbai, and I went all over the place and had a great time. The culture, I went to the slums. I went everywhere. I went to Bollywood just to kind of get a feel. I went to where Gandhi lived in that one house for like 12 years. And it's just learning the culture. The people had a phenomenal time when I was there. But there's a lot of similarities in the culture, and it's a lot of worry, a lot of fear sometimes, right?
Right.
I'm not a fan of that. I don't like that. I've never been a fan of it. My biggest fear is me getting out of whack. So it's trying to keep this guy as humble as possible. It's trying to keep this guy as aligned as possible, because if I do that, I'm performing at the highest level of frequency.
I love that. That's by far one of the favorite lines I've ever heard, that I'm scared of me falling off the wagon. Nobody else can do anything for me. I love that. That's my big takeaway. Patrick, when it comes to, I'd like to talk about your book and your online, upcoming ventures, because like I said, this, we have a plan to, take this book, Internet Moguls of the World, to different parts of the world, to every major conference, to every major school and university, and make sure that everybody gets to know this. So lots of youngsters and kids, and hopefully their parents who are getting into digital, getting into marketing, are getting into this, and will be exposed to you maybe for the first time, or maybe hearing new things from this interview for the first time. Can you talk a little bit about your book and what is the next offering that you have for your audience?
Excuse me. My next book. So the next book, Your Next 5 Moves, is this has been in the works for 4 or 5 years. Original title was supposed to be Solve for X, because to me, everything in life is, when you know what X is, you're ahead of the game. Most people don't know what X is. Most people don't know what they're solving for. Most people are all over the place. This is why one of the first questions I ask when I sit down with somebody, I ask them, I say, who do you want to be? What kind of life do you want to live? What do you mean? Who do you want to be? Do you want to be the face of a company? Do you want to be behind the scenes? Do you want to be the number one person, number two person? Do you want to be a salesperson, entrepreneur, intrapreneur, investor? Who do you want to be? What kind of pressure do you want? How big of a life do you want? Do you want to live in a big house? Do you want to live in a small house? Do you want to have a lot of responsibilities? Do you not want to have a lot of responsibilities? Do you want to get married? Do you not want to get married? Do you want to make millions? Do you want to make billions? Are you just okay if you make 100 grand a year? What? So I always start there first, right? So once we know what X is, then I go and start solving for your next 15 moves to get to X. That's all it is, right? And ideally, it's always 5 moves. And the reason why it's 5 moves is because everybody can come up with 5 moves. If I were to ask you right now and I said, look, I want to learn how to make $100,000. I've never made it before. You can probably give me my next 5 moves. If you think about it, as a coach, if I was to tell you, you know, I'd like to be a good digital marketer, what do you recommend? Here's the 5 things you got to do. 1, do this. 2, do this. 3, do this. 4, do this. 5, do this, right? So when I'm a military guy, I interview some interesting personalities, and I'm always looking at what motivated them to do what they did that caused them to go and do X, Y, Z, whether it's war, mafia, Hollywood, sports, business, billions, it doesn't matter. I'm always interested in strategy. And having been in business now for 20 years, typically the strategists that execute the highest level, they have an edge over their peers. There's a lot of hard workers. Hard working alone is not the only X factor. But you give me a hard worker and another hard worker, one that has the right strategies in place, it's going to be very hard for this guy to beat this guy. So it comes down to strategy. So the book is about 5 steps for you identifying your next 5 moves. There's 5 things you got to do. And I talk about that in the book.
Get into your ecosystem. What's the best way we can do that?
I'm not hearing you well, but you can say that one more time.
Sorry. I said, if people want to get into your ecosystem, is there like a beginner course or an online, how do they get into your ecosystem and start learning?
Absolutely. So if you go to patrickbdavid.com, that's how to get a hold of me. I have a sales course that I just launched 2 months ago that's been viewed by thousands of people, purchased by thousands of people, students, thousands of people around the world. And it's a course I put together on the philosophies I've used over the last 20 years to develop the 14,000 sales agents that we have who do very well. That's one part. But if somebody wants to get a hold of me, if you go on YouTube, you type in the word entrepreneur, you're probably going to see valuetainment all over the place.
Lovely. And that's part of the strategy?
Yeah, that's part of the strategy. It's not a hard close. You see, the benefit that I have is I run a business that does very, very well, and I don't need the money from the courses that I sell. People buy the courses because they ask me to put it together. But I'm not, my long-term plan isn't to be that. My long-term plan is to build a media empire, and that'll come in the next 5 to 10 years.
Excellent. Have you and Gary Vee ever had a interview or a match in the ring?
Who, Gary?
Yeah.
No, not Gary and I. We've spoken, but when we speak, it's a very interesting moment when he and I speak. It's 2 alpha competitive guys that go at it, which is it's an interesting dynamic.
I'm sure, because I took the girls to meet him a couple of weeks ago, and this was our 3rd meeting, so we got to meet him a couple of times. And that's exactly when I'm talking to you, I'm thinking, I'm just thinking both of you in the ring, and except using your face, you're talking maybe.
It would be a lot of. I'm sure eventually it's going to be happening. I just don't know when it is.
100%. Great. So thank you very much for your time. We've exhausted the time that we asked for. This was really fun, especially because it means a lot to me, because it's just such a like I said, there is a deep dying this thing inside me that I want to stay close to them as much as possible. And if this venture takes off the way that we want, then, I said, go to school, go to university, still keep working, and then maybe this becomes a global empire and we can all work together. That way, daddy and daughter are connected. So it's not only the venture, but it's an emotional aspect that I want to thank you for taking the time out.
It's a beautiful thing you're doing, man. I'm excited for you. It's a very, you can tell in her eyes how much it means to her.
Right.
Forget about how much you like it and how exciting it is for you, but you can tell from her eyes she was excited. She was glowing.
My elder one, I would love for you to give her a shout out right now because her name is Raya. And
Raya?
Raya does her protein lunches. She's 14. Her protein lunches are packed in the night. She goes to the gym in the morning. She has to do her meditation. She says, if an entrepreneur or the best athlete has this lifestyle, why do I not? And why do you keep telling me I can slow down? This girl is on a mission. She goes with me for every conference. She'll take down notes. She'll go to meet the speaker. She doesn't want a selfie with any speaker. She wants and unlike most of the kids, she wants the education and she wants that connection. She'll message them and they'll be her friends. And she's got so many, big speaker friends and who, we would all love to meet. And she's only in it for the hustle. Because we just came back from San Diego, she was crying almost all night saying that, what, why didn't you tell me beforehand that we were having this interview in the morning and all of that. Her name is Raya. If you could just say a few words for Raya.
Raya, I am so proud of you, Raya. For you to be doing that at 14 years old, you're way ahead of me because I was not doing that at 14 years old. And the benefit today in the world is that somebody like you, staying focused the way you are, give it 2, 3, 4, 5 years, all of a sudden, everybody around the world knows who you are. So very proud of your discipline. Awesome.
Thank you. And in the end, just a few words on the venture, the Internet Moguls of the world. What do you think and a message for the audience?
Well, I'm excited what you guys are doing. Anytime I see a father and the kids trying to build an empire together, it's always a beautiful thing because it unites the family and keeps them together. So more power to you for doing what you're trying to do.
Excellent. We just want to make sure that more daddies, more mothers come out, more children get into the school. Children at the age of 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 start understanding digital, valuetainment, all of those things together. Patrick, thank you so much for your time.